Sutler is a crowdsourced, hyper-localized app that rewards local users exploring their local community. Sutler lets local businesses connect directly with their best customers, locals, sharing time-sensitive deals and exclusive Sutler specials only offered on Sutler. Locals know best, not an algorithm. Sutler. Trust local. You're listening to Real with Coach Herb and B, a podcast that brings you community and culture with your host, Coach Herb and B.
Hey, y'all, what's happening? It's been a long time, it feels like.
It feels like it, right?
I know. Well, I'm
Yeah.
Coach Herb and my girl B as usual, and
Hi, everybody.
Red's in the background. Mr. Ben is in the background, and we are joined by Kimberly Newman.
Welcome.
Hey.
Welcome.
Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank you guys for
welcome.
having me.
Yes. I'm so excited to have you on and share your knowledge and, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here today.
I mean, well, when you give that kind of intro knowledge, I'm like, I thought I was just the holder of random, unimportant information.
You have your fingers on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say, you're an entrepreneur that's like, got your arms, your elbows, your knees, everything, and touching everything in aspects of the spectrum of work, the work.
Yeah, I guess that's how we could put it. I don't know, what's resonating in my mind for 2021 is I am a African-American woman that's trying to survive, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. And also at the same time, be of service, figure out a way to be, to continue to contribute to this new society that we are witnessing, and making sure that the conversation is relevant and is hopefully going to elevate communities, and honestly, most specifically, the community that I belong to. So.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes. It's encouraging, especially now that we are, and not to say that we haven't been seen before, but it feels like now we have the door open to have what we've already created seen. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Stepping stones.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
I think working out of the mantra that out of everything bad, there's something good. You just have to find it. Yeah. And I can honestly say that I'm thankful for 2020 and the fact that it finally caused the world to sit down and sit still long enough to pay attention.
Take a pause.
Take a pause. Whether or not, we successfully navigate beyond all the things that have happened remains to be seen, but at least I think there's an audience.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
That is also willing to take a pause and listen.
Mm-hmm. So, right.
Listen and pay attention to what's going on, which is needed, especially in these times, these trying times. So
exactly. Sometimes they say you gotta build the fire for people to realize that there is one and it needs to be put out. So yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what your businesses are.
So it actually is, I guess, kind of like the birth child or the byproduct of working in an industry for 25 years. I've worked all facets of that industry, mostly in leadership positions and executive positions. But you do realize, or at least I think everybody has a moment when they have to confront their relevance. And, I took a look at that about 5-6 years ago and, felt I wanted to take more control over determining what my relevance was in that industry that I've been working and had dedicated to. And it ended up being in kind of starting my own business and building my own space. I work in global event management. The niche that I concentrate on is a niche that many people don't even know exists. Part of it has a lot to do with transportation. You have these amazing, wonderful global events all around the world, executives, sporting celebrities, and you never think about how do they get there. And how do they get around? And how do we have these big trade shows and we're transporting 80,000 people? But also the other pieces, who is then managing those pieces, the people control. So who's managing the crowds and making sure that everything is done efficiently and safely. Typically, those are your on-site contractors or your travel directors. And so having worked in and around that space for, like I said, decades, I think I've been exposed to enough information to go out and start to kind of create my own conversation. And one of the areas that I decided to focus on was getting opportunities for those independent contractors. So Event Contractors Lab was born as one of the niches in the business, and that's where we house independent contractors that, as we're sourcing business, as we're negotiating those contracts and winning those events, we have people that we can activate on every continent to execute them. And so that's the fun part. But I can tell you, for both of those areas, transportation and for independent contractors, 2020 was not kind. And we are still in recovery.
Recovery mode, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because transportation is, I never think about that when it comes to,
I know, right?
An event. Like, you never think about it, right?
Yeah.
You could go to a conference and,
somebody's got to haul all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's a thousands of people, but you have no idea how they.
Yeah, you walk into it. Yeah, you especially.
Like, I'm just here. It's nice here, right? And not forget the whole year of planning it and putting it together, and the pre-walks and the site visits and all that stuff. Like, just, we're here.
Yeah.
But that honestly is how it's supposed to be. Our industry is built around experiential, experiences. And so you don't need to know or see all of those behind the scenes pieces. And that's why, the people who facilitate those, positions or those jobs are highly coveted. Those contracts are very, elusive and large.
Yeah.
And it's worth it because, these people, they drop their lives to make sure that you have a good time.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I know. It's like weird because, like, on a small, I'm in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, like, man, wedding planners got to be like, oof.
So let me clarify, because everybody always says that, and that's why I said it's an area that I work that not many people automatically think of, right? Yeah. Because just like how you thought about weddings, trust and believe, you don't want me planning nobody's wedding, because I'm gonna have a breakout session. I'm gonna have some speakers. I'm looking for the shuttle buses outside.
Right.
I'm not into it's conference and trade show management, which is very different.
More so, like, like if I go to like a convention center and I see
inauguration, Super Bowl, convention centers, trade show, big trade shows, things like that.
I went to an NBA All-Star game and they had all these things going on at one time.
Yep.
I was like, oh. I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, where do I go first? And it was just like overwhelming for me. So I don't know how it is planning all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, wow.
It's organized chaos is what I would say. But it is very well orchestrated. I mean, typically you have the sourcing, which is where you determine where it's going to take place and what inventory and supply you need in that destination. So let's say if it's Texas, we've decided that Texas has won the bid for this contract. So we're going to work with the CVB to source all of the inventory. So whether it's hotels, local staff, food and beverage, print, even little things like printing, AV, who's going to do the entertainment, who's going to do the mics, who's going to do the lighting, and then transportation, like all of these different pieces. So as you're negotiating those contracts with the local vendors to make sure that you have enough supply to service, so if, let's say NBA All-Stars carries 100,000 people, think about how many buses that is. That's only 55, our coach bus is only fit 55 people. Right. So you got to do the math to figure out how are we going to transport all these people or shuttle all these people around the city, for 5 days, and how many buses we need. So then you end up going outside of the city because you got to bring in affiliates to service this huge event. So Texas, how can we get people in, California, bring some buses down, this area, bring some buses down, some cars, some black cars. And then, hotels, they're all booked out. So are we going to go outside the city? So all these different pieces, you're planning for the year. And then you have your travel directors that come in and they take a portion. So one person, a team may take transportation, a team might take hotels, a team might take food and beverage. And then they navigate in between those contracts that have been signed and the local staff, and then they execute. Security is a huge piece of it. So hopefully enough has been done on the where during the event, you guys don't even notice. It's just seamless transition between, event to event to event to event. Yeah. And then it's over.
I've been thankful enough to witness some of that organized chaos. It's nuts. But at the same time, when you see it happening, you're like, how is this happening? How are these people listening to you to be able to go and do stuff?
They do.
Yeah. Me. I haven't seen it like red-handed, but I saw, like, I went to the NBA Hall of Fame induction, and there were like, you would get a phone call, it'd be like, hey, so you're supposed to be at this event at this time, and they're letting you know. So I'm sure when you get there, then you have your tickets that you have to collect, and then you have to, present it to somebody else, and then they're going to walk you to your seat or walk you to your table or whatever. I don't know. I'm like, oof. I'm like, oh, that seems like a lot. I'm just like, hey, just let me know where I got to go. And they're like, okay, so you're supposed to be at this table with this group and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know I was doing all that, but sure. So, it was fun, but I'm sure what they were going through was like
10 times more than what would,
like what, I wasn't as stressed as but they didn't seem as stressed. It just seemed like second nature. Like they just had it all figured out before we even got there.
Yeah, I always tell people that, it's one of those things that you really do have to love what you do. I think people romanticize some of it a little bit. They're like, oh, you get to go these amazing places. You get access. Like I had an ex that was just so in awe that I was working the Super Bowl. Now, mind you, I know I said I love Dallas, right?
Right.
I only love Dallas because I love Dallas. And the only reason I love Dallas is because of Emmitt Smith. But I know absolutely nothing about football. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Like, I don't even know why we have a Super Bowl. Like, I'm still trying to figure out why we have so many bowls. Like, there's Rose Bowl.
There's a lot of bowls.
Right. And I'm like, that's the college. And then you get the Super Bowl, which is the NFL, which is crazy.
All I know is I love Emmitt Smith, and Emmitt Smith played for Dallas. So I will always love Dallas. That's it. But people, would be like, oh, you're going to Super Bowl, you're doing this. And I'm like, we're not going as a guest. Like, we're going as an employee, as a worker. Yeah. We're working. So you do, yes, you do get to see these things and you get to meet these people, but you don't have the time to really be in that moment. You're not taking selfies, maybe once you might be able to, but it is kind of against the process. That's one thing we have to train our staff. Like, you're about to see some people, but you can't ask them for their autograph. You can't talk about, the access that you're going into. You may talk with your friends afterwards, but during the event, that's it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, but when you're working those literal, the last inauguration, I was up at 2 a.m. on site, as they're sweeping buses, and then you're rolling things out, and then you're not back in your hotel room or back in the bed until 11 p.m., 12 p.m. So, I think that week I got to see my son probably once. My village had to come in and help out, so those are sacrifices you're making to make sure that these events, go off. and it's a labor of love. So you really have to, like, yes, you get to go these great places and you do travel all over the world, but you really do have to love what you do, because when you're in the thick of it, there is no backing out. There is no, I'm tired, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to, go take a nap.
Yeah, take a nap before
yeah, you're about to be up for 23 hours and you're part of the team. So let's go.
All right, so we got Mr. Ben that's gonna give us the more in-depth questions, because he's.
Oh, we could keep asking some good, exciting questions.
Yeah, but we need all the technical stuff, and Mr. Ben is more technical than we are. So, what you got for us, Ray? Let's get real.
Well, thank you. You guys covered a lot about the Kim's current work with the event Contractor Lab and stuff like that, which is really great, and we definitely wanted to cover that. Something else that we kind of wanted to talk about tonight and discuss a little bit more in depth is the connection between your other your project that you're working on with the HBCU Biz Connection and how that kind of ties together with what you're currently doing as well. So are you able to kind of tell our audience and listeners a little bit more about the HBCU Biz Connection?
Yeah, so a couple of things kind of led us in this direction. So tapping off of what we said before, and the impact to the industry, the events industry in 2020, we talk about, it's really funny because, I live in an area where people are heavily divided about the different mandates, right? But honestly, people in events, like, we're not even part of that conversation as far as like on the day to day. We have to just sit back and relax, because it doesn't matter what phase you go through. You're not going to get to the phase where 20,000 people are meeting at a convention center right now.
Right.
So we know that the relevancy for us is so far ahead that we're trying to figure out how are we going to bring it back quicker? How are we going to build it back and make it more sustainable? Because we do go through these cycles. 9/11, we were here. During the last boom, we were here. Even during the first election of Trump, because of the mandates for international travel, like, a lot of our business is inbound. So people coming from other continents here to the US, and if anything changes, the wind, it impacts this level of events, of the events industry. So COVID, like with everybody, it wasn't kind. But the recovery may take a lot longer because the amount of groups that are meeting is so much larger.
Yeah.
So many of the conventions, many of the trade shows, many of the groups and events have been looking at more sustainable avenues to be able to meet. And virtual it's been part of the conversation for years, but I think it was harder for people to let go of the in-person.
Yeah.
And then COVID just kind of pushed us there quicker. Said, no, I know y'all been talking about it, but we're here. So we got to do it. So around the summertime, as a company, we already, started looking at how we were going to shift and make the adjustments. And then with some of the clients that we worked with, kind of having that conversation about how they were going to make the adjustments. And, the virtual platform just became the resource. So we started vetting them. We started doing our discovery calls and having the conversation with different industry leaders that could help us understand what they were looking for, which would have put us in a good position to build this to provide a solution. So instead of utilizing like periodic virtual platforms, we ended up investing in our own. And so for the latter part of the year, we spent kind of building it up and molding it. And I think, I love what has been produced. It's not a flat virtual platform. It's kind of like a chameleon, because events fluctuate and they all look different. And the system is able to ebb and flow as the different needs of our clients ebb and flow. So the latest project, which is one of several that we have going on, but it's one that's dear to me, is our support for HBCUs. So I am a alum of Howard University, which I just mentioned. So is our vice president.
That right?
So you know, I'm gonna ride that wave for a
That's
little
right,
bit.
yeah.
Hey. For minimum 4 years. Minimum.
There we 4 years. I'm just saying.
You could get maximum. I'm not. Hey, I'm feeling it.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I was introduced to a team of people that were having these conversations already, and we came in with the resource, and together we've been working to build this space to really kind of support a collective of HBCUs. So not just one, but all of them. There's over 107 HBCUs throughout the nation. And, there's power in numbers, there's power in connectivity. And so kind of helping people realize the resources that we have within our communities and how we can partner together to really level up.
Awesome.
I mean,
so,
yeah, that's awesome. Sorry, I got excited.
Okay. Yeah. So my next question is, can you talk about what HBCUs are? I know you mentioned Howard University, but I do feel like there are some people who maybe don't. During my research of into the show tonight, I did kind of look up a little bit about HBCUs, but I'm just kind of interested to if you're able to describe at least what they are, and are they kind of generally located in a certain area, or do you find them throughout the country, since you did say there's 107, or are there specific pockets that really they thrive in?
Yeah, so to understand HBCUs, you really have to understand and have an interest in the true history of America's relationship with race. So HBCU stands for Historically Black Colleges and Universities. And I know that, some that don't know the history might ask, well, why are they necessary? Or why do they have to be exclusive? So first, let's clarify just a couple things. HBCUs are not exclusive.
Nope.
HBCUs are open to anyone who wants to attend.
Right.
But in the reverse, African Americans did not receive the same welcome into education when it was first presented. So out of a necessity, we had to create a space that would allow us to thrive and allow us the opportunity to gain access to what everybody else was having. Just ironically, just to back it up a little bit, I also went to a high school that was one of the first high schools in the US that was established to educate freed slaves and African Americans in the late 1800s. It's a school called Piney Woods Country Life School, and it's based out of Mississippi, right outside of Jackson.
Oh, wow.
You'll find it in the African American Museum. And ironically, having grown up in the suburbs and grown up where I was, very much the minority, there weren't a lot of us in that area at that time, I didn't know a lot about my true history and my true lineage. Things like sororities and fraternities and, debutantes and, the Black families that have helped build up the South. I wasn't exposed to a lot of that growing up. So when I got to Piney Woods, that was kind of like my first introduction into, my true position in this country and the opportunities that, exist for me in building the future, not waiting for somebody to give it to me. And so that's when I decided to go to an HBCU. And I selected Howard because at the time my mom worked there, but also that's the Mecca. And so if you're going to go to an HBCU, I was partial. I decided to go there. And thankfully they welcomed me. So I went, and it was the best experience of my life. I mean, I was there for 5 years, and some of those relationships are relationships that I hold dearest to this day. But it was also a place that, again, put me in a space that kind of dedicated to showing me what the true American history was, and the passage and how things, it wasn't just a circling around Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. You got to learn about everybody, the inventors, the knowledge makers, and that to me is what propelled me into my future. And I think ultimately that's the underlying of what allowed me to become, or pushed me to become, an entrepreneur. So a lot of great things come out of HBCUs, but again, it's not exclusive. We do have a lot. I mean, Howard University specifically has an amazing, medical and law school, fine arts. I mean, we
That's
have
right
people.
there. My brother went to Howard
Go,
for
brother.
engineering. Yeah.
Everybody know
Everybody
Howard
knows
as
somebody that went to
yeah, I was
Howard.
about to say.
You can't live in this area and not.
Right,
That is
exactly.
true. That is
He
true.
went there for engineering and
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah, but really, it's just about leveling out the playing field of opportunity. That's really what HBCUs are, and giving us a space to continue to celebrate Black excellence.
Yeah, that was beautifully said. Welcome into Black History Month. It is coming.
Oh my God, we're rolling.
I told you, it came up from the soul. I'm sorry.
Yes.
My ancestors was talking.
Goosebumps.
I love it. I know.
Yeah.
So Herb alluded to this a little bit earlier when talking about,
did?
definitely celebrating the pride in coming from Howard for the next 4 years. And so what I was kind of interested too about is what type of businesses do you typically get represented when you're reaching out to these alums from HBCUs? Is it all across the spectrum? Are there, especially since you're kind of in the big event industry typically or normally, is there certain majors or businesses that you kind of attract when you're, out there looking for people who are trying to connect and still be able to host events even in this challenging time?
So just like with anything else, with HBCUs, there is no limit. I mean, there's no caveat. There's no niche. The opportunity to find an area of business and e-commerce and creative and the arts. This is what we're seeing. I mean, I didn't anticipate anything different. So it's just about listing out. If you're looking for a lawyer, if you're looking for a dentist, if you're looking for a CPA, if you're looking for somebody to come and do your floors, or you're looking for somebody that's a creative, and they are going to come in and design your home or just anything. I mean, there is no
limits.
There's no box.
No box.
There's no box. So we do invite people to and it's not and I want to clarify, so it's not just I chose this space because and I guess we can get real for a second. So after we went through 2020, so I'm going to say I don't know about anybody else on this call, but it wasn't a shock for me. Like, it wasn't like I just woke up in 2020 and was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Like, this is the life that many minorities have lived, if not all have lived. I think it's just other people are just realizing it. And so in business, it's no different. It's not like when we are at home, we experience certain things, but then we're at work, everything's peachy. No, it's the dynamic that also impacts us professionally. It impacts us when we are trying to start our own businesses or build our own space, for our family. These are things that we are confronted with. And so in deciding to focus on this specific niche, it wasn't to exclude the support for any entrepreneurs. I mean, anyone who decides to start their own business has to have, balls of glory. Let's just say it. You have to have balls of steel, because it's like, it takes heart, it takes dedication. You don't have a steady paycheck. You have to go out and hunt it. You have to create it. And, you don't get benefits, so you have to provide for yourself and get a space. So anybody, regardless of your color, regardless of your culture, your background, we support you. Correct. However, some of the hurdles and challenges only exist in the space where certain people have tried to go into, and it's typically people of color. And so after seeing, I wouldn't say the conversation arise in 2020, but the refusal to let the door open and to see the staunch desire to keep it the way that it is. led me to say, every piece of my being wants to help whatever minority business I can bust that door wide open. Because at this point, after we have gone through what we've gone through, seen what we've seen, if there are still obstacles in front of anybody, especially minorities, we're going to work to remove them. So whether it's education, whether it's access, whether it's branding and marketing, or just simple conversation, I want to be in that space. So that's what 2021 looks like for me and my business.
So, yeah, I'd say that's
so powerful.
Yeah, great.
You're going to start making people cry, Kim.
That's right. You better get out of here and stop playing. What is this?
I know. It's like I'm getting emotional over here.
Yes.
Usually I try to keep my cool, but
I'm sorry.
Well, my last question kind of ties it really nicely with that segue there. It's Bianca and I think, and her was probably there because we usually all hang out together a lot. There's been some news recently about a community in Georgia that is trying to spring up and basically be a kind of like an HBCU, but as a town, which I think is an amazing concept. It's not the first one to ever be done. It's happened in America before. But I think, now there's a lot of...
It's gonna sustain itself.
Yeah, there's a lot of great resources to go towards that. So kind of an open discussion here as my last point before we kick it to B to do the wrap up here. But I thought this was kind of a nice, especially after all the powerful words that have just been, said by you, Kim. I thought this would kind of be a fun conversation for you guys to kind of end the show on, at least from my point of view. So have you heard about that, or what are your thoughts about that? Bringing people of like-minded community together to try and really empower themselves.
So let me tell you, Ben, the question, have we heard about it? Let me tell you, if a Wakanda opens up in America, every Black person's going to hear about it. So yes, we have heard about it. We know about it. We're all in touch with it. And you're right. It is something that has happened before. The story of Black Wall Street, we know how that happened, how they thrived, but we also know what happened in response to it. But I can tell you that in forging this conversation in Atlanta and other places, because there's many people that are starting their own little cohorts and their own little teams to try and get this idea off the ground. Hopefully at some point it will become a collective, not everybody kind of pushing their own space, but working together to kind of build together. Knowing the history and then going through what we've gone through and then seeing 2020, I can tell you that the sentiment is that will not happen again. We will build, but we will build back better, and we will build back stronger.
Yep.
And it will sustain, because now you have much more resources and you have eyes watching and people who are committed to being a part of that conversation. So.
And I think, a lot of people are going to basically break their backs to make sure that it actually sustains and continues. And it's funny that you say that. Like, I was thinking, it's almost like you could model it in the way of the HBCU way, because to start it up like that and then continue, and we won't be exclusive, but everybody's welcome, but you also have sustainability to continue to build from there. And you have 170 communities all over the country like that too. So
I say let's do it.
I was gonna say, so my
Herb, you gonna start it?
That's right.
I'll be in your cohort.
I'm part Wakanda anyway.
Come on, Ben. You can come.
I got somebody.
Ben's gonna he's gonna have a house right on the compound.
Yeah,
right.
Right on the corner.
That's right. That's right.
Ben, you get an invite to come out.
Thanks.
Ben's got grilling sandals. You don't know. He got the grilling sandals.
No, not the grilling sandals. Oh, he got the dad sandals.
I'm messing with you now.
No, not yet. I do know what those are now, but Herb has them, I hear, but I do not yet.
Trust me.
Yeah. But no, I look at it like you will have these communities popping up over the country, and it would be powerful to see that type of community here in our area. You know, you look at Loudoun County, where Loudoun County, you go visit it now, and Kim, you live there. Like, I love Loudoun County, but it's not a lot of us there. Like, it's not a
Loudoun
lot of
County needs
us,
a little bit of work, though.
right?
Let's be honest.
I mean,
Loudoun
yes,
County needs a lot of work. I mean,
Needs a lot of work.
I
but
think
it's gorgeous though. It is
Oh,
a
yeah,
beautiful.
no, I mean, I love, I mean, as far as aesthetic, I
Mhm.
mean, I could be here all day. But, you know, I think that we all just have to, my hope for the future is that people don't see each other as competition. People don't see each other as anything but a resource.
Right.
So, you know, Loudoun County not exempt, especially not exempt, but there just needs to be more collective thought, collective support, and collective pushing. Nobody has to be the star. Nobody has to be the one. You know, our voice can be much louder together. But
together.
yeah.
Well,
The
that is a
support needs to.
beautiful, beautiful.
I mean,
beautiful
this
ending. I
the
mean,
support, the networking. You know, I feel like, you know, Kim is onto something where this whole thing is heading. So, you know, you could be the, like, how do you say, the wires that connect everything as well too. So
Well, I'm usually, believe it or not, people are like, "Oh no, Kim did it." I'm like, I'm a background person, so I like to think about it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can always be the
Strategize,
background person, but you got the wires.
hand it off.
Yes,
You know,
to connect. Yes.
yeah. No, so I mean, but I think a lot of people are on the same thought process.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of us that are going into 2020 with the same feeling of exhaustion.
2021.
And knowing that 2021 is going to be the tell.
Oh yeah.
It's the year
of where we're going. Yeah. So,
well, Kim, at the end of every show, we love to support small businesses, and I know we've been talking about your.
Can we call her
right?
business, small business?
I think we're calling Kim a business.
I'm very much small business.
Well, I don't know. Every time I hear it, I'm like, this is not small.
I'm a minority-owned, woman-owned small business. Until I can compete with the, you know, Boeings of the world, right. I am small fries, honey.
Right.
I will wear that hat proud as I build.
So tell us how, or tell our audience how they can get in touch with you if they need be, and also how to connect.
I'm always in the background
app as well.
She's always in the background, but she's willing to help.
Yes,
absolutely. So you can always email me anytime for anything. I definitely am an open, you know, book. If you have questions, if you know, want resources, or if you want connections to, you know, anything that I could possibly, you know, offer, always shoot me an email at info@higher-ecl.com. You can also visit our website at www.higher-ecl.com. We're also on Facebook, on Instagram, and recently on TikTok, which is a problem. Because I spend more time.
Is TikTok a problem?
Videos.
You done told Herb is a TikTok fanatic.
It be 1 a.m. and my son is like, if you don't get off TikTok, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, sorry. I swear I was only on it for an hour.
I was only on it for an hour, I promise. No, but the problem is I'm an old school marketing person. Like, I mean, I did marketing back in the 90s when we had to, like, literally grassroots. Like, he was walking in the grass and going to businesses. He wasn't signing on social media. So now I'm just like, I'm addicted to this stuff. It's great.
Yeah.
I love
it's
it.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we can't finish on that, though. We can't finish on TikTok.
I want to, you got to, well, how about we maybe find a TikTok of hers and put it at the end?
Oh, no. He's been doing TikTok.
Not me.
Please.
Herb doesn't do it. He just watches it.
Oh.
I'm a watcher.
Dang it.
I know, right?
Ben, you did one?
No.
Yes.
Actually, none of us have done a TikTok.
No, my daughter has. A couple of my friends have, but they've tried to convince me to do a duet, and I was like, "What's a duet?" And then I saw it and I was like, no way, no. Doing a duet.
You have to put it up. You have to put it up on the Facebook page. Bianca, I'll take a look.
Yes, correct.
Desperado, yeah.
If I posted a TikTok of Herb, he would probably get all of the likes because people would be like, "How did you get that man
to do anything?"
Exactly.
I know. I work with kids and they're like, "Man, you're so mean." I said, "Yep, I am."
And just leave it that way.
Yeah. Yep, I am mean. If you don't like it, oh well.
Lord Jesus. Well,
those be the best ones, though.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
Those be the best ones. No, but this is great. Thank you guys so much for having me. And this was a wonderful talk. I mean, I'm excited to see what you guys do for Black History Month. That's going to be amazing, I'm sure.
That's right. You didn't put our Black asses on the screen. We're going to tell you all Black history.
We is the history.
That's right.
We are the history. Can't you see?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I'll definitely send you guys some information about Piney Woods. Kathy Hughes Kathy Hughes, who is the founder of Radio One, and her grandfather, Lawrence C. Jones, founded that school back in the 1800s, and they would teach the freed slaves under a tree. And believe it or not, the business community in Mississippi got together and literally built the campus, gorgeous campus, by hand. So the buildings, the amphitheater, everything. And every summer, Kathy Hughes would take kids down for summer camp. So when my mother was like, "You need to go to boarding school because you're spoiled. You need to get out of here," she found Piney Woods. And so that's where I went. And
wow.
So, yeah.
That's great. That's got to be good, man.
Yeah. This has been a wonderful podcast with you. We do appreciate it. Yes, it is awesome to learn from you because I know I've learned some tonight. I
know. I mean, Kim, you're Black history in itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, if you think about it, like you've done some amazing things already and are going to do more.
And still not done yet.
You're not done.
Yeah, no, I feel like, I'm looking towards the future. I think there's a lot that I want to do. But at the end of the day, I just want my main thing is to be of service, to do something that's going to leave an impact and make something better.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is yet, but hopefully it'll reveal itself soon.
You're getting there. I feel it bubbling over. It's getting ready to come. Correct. Coming out the pot. Like you say, right?
Thank you guys. This was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for coming on. And as on that note, guys, I want to say peace.
That's right.
Appreciate y'all.
The Real to Real podcast is presented by Herbert Williams Beffo and Bianca Mosquitis. Our producer is Ben Runyon. Our technical director is Nick Patry. Audio and video lead is Megan Kottner. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow and like us on Facebook and Instagram at Real to Real and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or anywhere else podcasts are found. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. It's been real with Coach Herb and B.